Hello, everybody. My name is Dakota, and this is Everything Morally Wrong with the Quran. Now, I do want to preface this as I am somebody in the US, and I see a lot of hate against Muslims. This is not to support hate, okay? I am fed up with Christians thinking that they're better than Muslims, even though their religions are very, very similar. And I do not tolerate hate. I think it's disgusting. I hate that, you have people who think that Muslim women shouldn't be wearing their hijab. That's just not okay. And I think Muslims should be allowed to practice however they want so long as it brings no harm to others. That being said, the Quran and the faith in general should be up for criticism just as Christianity and the Bible is. Now, I don't know a lot about people in the Islamic faith, so I'm not really going to dive into how it is culturally or socially. How do Muslims behave compared to, their holy book. However, I am going to criticize the Quran, which is a fundamental piece of Islam. And so if you practice the faith, these are just going to be some criticisms you might want to consider. And you might be asking, well, why are you even doing this? Why are you criticizing the Quran? Well, I think that every book that claims to be a book of morality and claims to be the answer to all things and is often used to justify war should be criticized. And that being said, I will be getting to the Bible, and that will be a full-blown series. So don't think that this is just, some white person who won't criticize Christianity is going to criticize Islam. No, trust me. I'm going to be even harder on Christianity because I know it. I've been through it. I've read the Bible, all that stuff. If you are here as a Christian wanting to justify how Islam is so bad and scary, well, honey, a lot of these things have similarities to your book. So, yeah. I will be addressing how they have similarities in the Bible. Because honestly, I don't really have any issues with the Quran that I don't already have with the Bible. So, yeah. Now, if I have a mistranslation because of the Arabic is maybe different from the English translation, feel free to correct me. That's fine. But I don't want to hear anything stupid I don't want to hear, oh, this is not true. Or I don't know. I don't know what excuses Muslims would give, but I know what kind of stuff to expect from Christians. So, I don't want to hear anything either direction. I don't want to be like, oh, this is why Islam is evil. I still think Muslims are allowed to practice however they will, so long as they don't harm others. So, yeah, I think that's important to preface before really getting into this because it's important to know the backgrounds. So, what's the first thing I have an issue with? First off, there's slavery. There's slavery throughout the Quran. It's not so heavy on that, like, you should own a slave or anything, or, like, it's just more of, it seems to be more as a piece of the times. I don't know how the Middle East is about slaves. I don't know a lot about the Middle East, so I don't know how they all are culturally, but I would imagine at least some places do not have slaves, I hope. And if they do, y'all fucked. You all messed up. So bad. And so, yeah. There is. And this is similar with the Bible. Whereas the Bible actually makes it pretty clear that slavery is perfectly fine and has specific instructions for how to treat your slaves. Usually it is to be good to your slaves. Whereas in Islam, it's like you just have slaves. But the Muslims could probably justify that as, oh, that's just part of the times, but look, this is an all-knowing, all-good deity that we are talking about here. This would be one thing if we were talking about a being that wasn't supposed to be perfect, but we are talking about a perfect being. And a perfect being would not allow slavery, because we realize slavery is wrong. And I don't care if it's part of the times. If it's part of what is morally right or wrong, I think a morally good deity should have addressed that from the get-go. The next thing is animal sacrifice. Same thing. Should have been addressed, in the get-go. I know we don't do that in modern days. I don't think even Islamic countries do that still, but, or maybe they do. I mean, I don't know. I'm fairly ignorant on the Middle East. So, once again, I know what I'm talking about with the Quran because I read it. And, animal sacrifice, animals have feelings, they get scared, it's kind of messed up. I think killing animals for any other reason besides to eat them is just messed up, and it can even be debated whether or not even eating animals is morally acceptable. So, yeah, there's just a lot of morality there that was okay back in the day, but isn't okay in this day. Okay, so the next thing is women inequality. Yep, you knew it was coming. This is a big one. Now, in the Quran, it makes it pretty clear that women are pretty much half that of men. So, I'm sorry, but you really can't justify this. I don't care how much you try to, make it sound like it's something else. It's not. And just the idea that a woman is unclean when she's on her menstrual cycle, it's just not okay. Nothing of it is okay. And we know nowadays, at least here in America, which America has flaws too, but we know that women are equal. Most modern day countries know that women are equal. And so, for this holy book that is supposed to be about how to live your life morally, to say that women are not, well, I just can't support that. Now, this is where Christians would like to come in and be like, oh, well, at least in Christianity, no. No. Shut up. The Bible actually, it could be interpreted either way, to be entirely honest, but you could easily interpret that women are not only unequal to men, but are so much less than men that they are just property. They're not even half that of men. They are property. And throughout the whole Bible, it has that. So, please, I don't want to hear it. But with the Quran, there's even the idea that, like, Allah giving you a daughter is like a bad thing. Like, or that receiving news that you're going to have a daughter is a bad thing. So, yeah, that's definitely not okay. I shouldn't have to explain why women are equal, but I just can't morally support, a deity that intentionally created a woman to be not equal with men. Like, that just seems like a design flaw in itself. So even if it was true, it just seems like, why would a deity even do this? But I'm sure somebody out there can come up with an excuse for this, so I'm not going to go on. Next is the concept of hell. The idea that hell even exists at all? Look, okay? You can send non-believers to hell. Like, Allah literally has the supposed power to, he literally says in the Quran, he has the power to have made everyone of one religion, but he doesn't. And to send people to be tortured forever for just not believing? Look, some of us grow up here in the US, being taught to hate Islam, and we're brainwashed into being Christians. And if we do escape Christianity, it's not always logical to select Islam. A lot of people, there are so many other religions, there's so much to choose from, and to say that Islam is the one true religion? No. And to send people to hell for merely lacking faith in that is not okay. And this is a similar issue in Christianity. Very exact same, in fact. A good deity, an all good deity, who is supposed to be all powerful, all knowing, sending people to hell is not exactly what I would call all good. Torturing people for eternity is not good. I mean, I don't even think I would torture Hitler for eternity. Maybe a few centuries, maybe, just to kind of get all that karma from, the Holocaust. But eternity? No. And for someone as simple as myself, who cannot logically come to the conclusion that Islam is acceptable. I mean, look, I'm not a perfect person. I do bad things. I mean, maybe I deserve a weekend in hell, but an eternity? Nah. Nah, bro. So that's a big flaw there. I just don't think the concept of hell in general is just immoral. I don't care what religion you come from, it's just immoral, period. And then there is the idea that Satan exists. So, an all good deity made an evil deity to misguide people. Isn't that wonderful? So, yeah, I don't think that a good deity would be capable of making a deity specifically for the purpose of causing harm on earth and misleading people so that people will end up in hell. You are literally intentionally making people go to hell. You have the full power to not only not send people to hell, but you have the power to say, Satan, go into the corner, you're in timeout. Actually, no, stop existing, bye. And gone. Just like that. So, yeah, very big problem. This is a similar problem in Christianity. Christianity is honestly slightly worse because at least in the Quran, Satan is shown to be bad. In the Bible, honestly, it almost looks like Lucifer, Satan himself, could actually be the hero. So, yeah. And then, of course, this is the big one that kind of causes war, that causes, probably is what gets interpreted into violence and eventually becomes terrorism, is that they should kill polytheists and you should not trust nonbelievers. So in the Quran, it makes it clear, there is a part there that does say to kill the polytheist. I can hope that maybe that's just a mistranslation. But I will say that there is the exception of you can have treaty with them, you can, if they ask you to protect them, that you should protect them. But other than that, you should kill them. And then there is also the idea of you should not be trusting non-believers. There is also war within the Quran in general. I will say, unlike the Bible, how the Bible has war a lot of times, at least in the Quran, it's provoked. In the Bible, it seems to be more like you go in and like God commands you to go fight these people who are just kind of minding their own business. In the Quran, it's like, fight these people because they're fighting you. I can say that with the killing of polytheists, I'm sure there's an interpretation of that is probably like to not actually kill unless like absolutely required. I'm sure there's ways around that, but that is probably what causes violence within Islam. That being said, I know a lot of Christians are going to be like, "Hey, see, I told you, they're evil, they want to kill us." Honey, your Bible has a lot of you killing people. Like, you kill people completely unprovoked. Innocent people. You even take their women and children as plunder. Like, you go to war with people for just simply not believing, not being circumcised. I mean, really, God kills so many people for not believing or not being circumcised or whatever. And even Jesus himself is even like, you're better off being drowned in a lake, basically, than to misguide one of these young ones. So, technically, by that definition, y'all should be throwing me in a lake. Just saying. Like, so if you want to try to justify that Islam is somehow worse, look at your own book. There is far more violence against non-believers. This is literally the thing I found with the Quran that says kill polytheists. I only heard it like once. And that's it. And it could probably be interpreted in a different way. You could probably even interpret it that being in a society and living in a society in general, you should, and cooperating with other nations even, is you have a treaty with these people, so you shouldn't kill them. A lot of the violence that is in the Quran is very much provoked. So, what violence there is and what support there is of that violence is typically provoked. But I will say that the idea of being told to kill polytheists, yeah, kind of immoral, because you're killing people for simply having a different perspective, for understanding God a different way. And another thing with that is, it is very clear that you cannot trust, in the Quran it's clear that you cannot trust non-believers, which I suppose, like, if this God was a true, only way thing, sure, but there are a lot of trustworthy non-believers of Islam, and so I think it's not right to judge people just off of their lack of faith. And once again, that is another issue in Christianity, is that you shouldn't just have an issue with somebody for a mere lack of faith. But yeah, that's roughly everything with the Quran. I unfortunately do not have exact quotes. Otherwise, I would totally share those. Maybe one day I will do a better video and maybe provide something like that. Although, dear God, I do not feel like dealing with rereading the Quran again. That was a long read, and I am just happy to be done with it. But yeah, all that said, I cannot morally support Islam. I think it is an immoral belief. I think most monotheisms are immoral, so it's not just Islam. It's everything, really. Monotheism in general, at least the idea of a perfect God, that is all-knowing, all good, all powerful, is usually one of the most toxic belief systems, and so Islam is no exception. I am happy y'all joined me in this exploration of everything morally wrong with the Quran, and I look forward to seeing you all in my Everything Morally Wrong with the Bible. Thank you, and have a good day.